Okay, so I'm going to tie just a basic foam, my foam hopper that I use. It's a sort of a standard pre-cut foam body that I make and then cut, and multiple colors, and then pre-cut the legs. I bought the dies online somewhere from one of the manufacturers that make them. They're pretty easy to find, foam cutters and stuff. Um, what I did at first was I put a bunch of sheets together here. You can see I used three different uh, sheets of 2 mil a piece. There was like a lime green, a real sort of, I don't know, sort of like pastel colored green and greenish color, and glued them all together. And I use a 3M glue, all weather glue, and I just spray them on each side, stick them together, let them adhere for 24 hours and or 48. And I usually press them in something. You could use a press, or um, you want to watch, because some of the glue might overflow, so whatever you use might stick. You might want to use some sort of like baking sheet, or something, cookie sheet or something like that. Uh, Something like that might help too. I use a piece of PVC board, two pieces of thin PVC board, and the glue doesn't stick to it, or the foam doesn't stick to it. It's pretty good. So anyway, that's how I do my foam bodies and the legs. Each leg is cut out as well. All right, and they're all the one size. I just use one size, and I even tie them in black for a cricket. So without further ado, I thought I had two legs. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so the only materials in this are, of course, the foam legs, um, the foam body. I use just a bright yellow, parapost wing sort of foam. Just about anything. You could even use steelhead, or like the egg foam. Any of that stuff. It's high vis, and um, you know wool type you could use as well. Ram's wool for the wing. For this part up here. All right, and then I just use 140 denier thread, and that would be a TMC 9395 hook. It's a streamer size 8 4x long. That's what I use there. Okay, and also some tiny chartreuse rubber legs as well for in there as well. All right, so let me get ready here for us. Okay, to save a little time there, I loaded the hook, I started my thread, and we're ready to roll. All right, and we're just going to continue to wrap this all the way back. And of course, we all know when you use this type of flat thread, if you let it sit for a while, it will get real flat, and if you spin it a little bit, it'll get like a real round. Okay, for this application, we just want to cover as much thread as possible. So we're going, and you can even see the difference in the thread cut, but it doesn't really matter. We're just trying to cover it up fast. So little lesson there. We're going to bring it back, and just in front of the eye hook. Okay, just in front of the eye hook, and we'll cut that tag off. All right, then what I do is I take a little tiny super glue, whatever your flavor is, whatever I have on the bench. Today it is Gorilla super glue. I like Zappa the best, really. So I put a tiny slice in here using a razor blade, and I put it right in the center piece of foam, right in the center there. And I don't go quite halfway through, not quite. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and very quickly, I'm going to push top down, then the bottom. And I'm not even going to push down hard, okay? Because it should be like that. If you push it, if you cut too deep and you push too hard, you're not going to have a very big hook gap there. And you know, you want to keep your hook gap for this style of fish, so you can make sure you get a good hook set. All right, and you don't want to crowd this or leave too much room up here on the front. So that is perfect grab, and it's probably already on there. All right, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to do 4 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I pinch this back here for a reason, to keep it from spinning. And then I just straighten it back out. Okay, I got 4 wraps in there. You don't need a whole lot of wrap up in there. Now all I'm going to do is add a little bit of this parapost here and get down to the local shop. All this stuff except for the foam bodies you got to make, unless I decide to start making them for the shop. So here they are. You got I pulled out one sort of strand of this stuff. Is sort of stringy. Pulled out one strand here, and I'm going to cut about 1-inch strips out of that whole strand. All right, and I should get about 5, right? About 5 strips. All right, and then what I'll do is I'll take the one with the 2 in the back, and I'll just put that in there, and I just do 2 wraps, just 2. Pull it tight, pull it down tight, pull another one in there, and then a half hitch, another half hitch. Right. You don't want to pull this too tight because you could actually cut right through your foam. Okay, so be careful of that. And then I want to make sure that when I cut my thread here, that I'm doing it right on the bottom. And there's a reason for that when we're done. Then I take my thread again, and I sort of want to manipulate this, pull this back nice. Right? I'm going to take this thread, and you can see that how this goes and bends up right here underneath the head of that hopper. If you can see that right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus my wrap just behind that a little bit, okay? I don't want the wrap to go over the head. I want to definitely be behind the head here, just like so. 2, 3, 4 as I pull up, okay, and down on this one. All right, and I'll just wrap that over. Oops. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off there. All right. And we should be right there. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our legs. All right. And I'm just going to trim them up a little bit, make them a little shorter. All right. And I'll put this one in first, and then I'll put the other one in, and I'll show you. And I'll put them in. I just secure them 1, 2. And I don't pull real tight here on these, okay, guys? Not real tight. Anything on this one? I'll trim that short like that, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to just barely set that in there, if you can see, like that. And when I wrap this over, it's barely grabbing that little piece right there, just the tip. 1, 2. That's all we need in there. All right, now, we're going to go back to our favorite crazy glue. And excuse me for a second, but I got to clean the tip of this stuff off before I make a mess. Make a boo-boo. All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in behind the leg. And right in the armpit, I'm just going to put a tiny dab, and I'm just going to squish that down, and I'm going to hold for about 10 seconds. 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. And see how it's nice and down. It's not whoop flared out. It'll stay on there. It'll take a little bit more of abuse from the fish and stuff like that. And plus, if they're sticking out like that, it will tend not to fly real good through the air if you're using a lighter rod. So a lighter weight. Ooh, almost got a big boo boo. Had a big drop there. Must have been excited. Again, just a tiny dab behind the armpit. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. I'll give that one a little bit more. Boom. Shakalaka. So I'm saying this stuff doesn't really adhere as fast as Zabadap. Zabadap. All right. So this is where we're at so far. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our silly legs. And for today's demonstration, we're just using chartreuse. And I'm going to pick out two. There's two big long strands here. Okay, cut them off. All right, and I'm going to tie them in. And so, if you can see here, I'm going to tie them in so the fronts are short. Right, I'm going to do 1, 2. Okay. Cut them off about the same. Come over here. Do the same thing. Trying to fish between them two. Just get a little leg in there. 2. Again. Don't pull real tight. You can trim them up if you want to later. All right. I almost got crazy. All right. Then last, we're going to take our last piece of material. We're going to take our last little bit of parapost, and we're going to put 2 little secures in there, pull tight. And just get a 1/2 inch in there, and that's good. Remember, there's some crazy glue down in there yet. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this real quick, and we're going to trim that up. I do look for a particular look. I sort of like, I don't like it really crowding the eye. Or the head. You know, I don't like it hanging out. I don't like my grasshoppers to have bangs. All right, and then you just sort of bring that back on a nice little keel. So angle there. Trim up some crazies. Right. Then what we do is we grab a marker, your choice of permanent marker. And we're going to add, because it makes such a big deal, an eye and some markings on the legs. I use everything to help steady myself when doing this. There we go. All right. So you can see there. Let me get some of that trim stuff off of there. And there she is. All right. Now, last step. I take a little thin UV and I go right down in that cut. And just a little dab at the joints where I tied. Okay, and hold your eyes. Let me protect your eyes. 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, and there you have it. And it looks like a little weld when you're done down there. And there you have it, a hopper. I do them in orange and brown. Black for like a cricket. And of course the green. And the green. Enjoy.